For nearly 4 years, Kamala has crackled as the American economy has burned. What happened to her laugh? I haven't heard that laugh in about a week. That's why they keep her off the stage. That's why she's disappeared. That's the laugh of a crazy person, I will tell you. If you haven't done it, it's a crazy. They told her, don't laugh, don't laugh. No, her laugh is career-threatening. They said, don't laugh. She hasn't laughed. She doesn't laugh anymore. It's smart, but someday it's going to come out. That's the laugh of a person with some big problems.
Honestly, Kamala was at a thing, I think it was yesterday, and while she was walking up to the podium, she was cackling and laughing like a lunatic on some kind of drug, and you couldn't hear it because the crowd, bussed in by the unions, they were going wild, so you couldn't hear her cackling, but if you look at the video, she was cackling up a storm. Big ol' storm. Well, happy Thursday, and welcome back once again. We continue to reside at 888-630-9625. 888-630-9625 is the telephone number here. The Washington Times, your newspaper of record in Washington, D.C., their lead story, front page above the fold today, Trump attempts policy versus personality. The subheadline is, struggles to maintain economic focus before mocking Harris's crazy laugh. Crazy laugh. And we just played that soundbite for you right there. Front page lead story of the Washington Times by Tom Howell Jr. Tom Howell Jr. Former President Donald Trump tried somewhat reluctantly to pivot his campaign Wednesday from hurling personal insults against Vice President Kamala Harris to criticizing her economic record on scourges such as inflation, even as the White House claimed progress on the economy. This is progress on the economy. Campaigning in North Carolina, Mr. Trump said everyday prices, the cost of auto insurance and credit card debt have expanded, and the country will never recover if Democrats get another 4 years in the White House, President Trump said. Consumer prices rose 0.2% from June to July, the government reported on Wednesday. Year over year, however, the increase was 2.9%, the lowest since March of 2021, shortly after Joe Biden and Kamala Harris took office, because, they drove our inflation rate up to 9.1%. When you looked at the inflation rate from Inauguration Day, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris's Inauguration Day, inflation was 1.4%. 1.4%. Earlier in the year, it was 1.2% under President Trump. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris got our inflation rate up to 9.1%. And then interest rates went up and mortgage rates became unattainable for huge swaths of the population and so on. But let's go to President Trump, because he was in North Carolina yesterday. And it's true, I was at Newsmax while this was going on, preparing for big television show on Newsmax, Chris Plant and the Right Squad, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you very much. That'd be 7 o'clock on the West Coast for Democrats trying to follow along. I know that gets complicated. I'm patting you on the head now. But we were watching it, and I said, wow, this is great. He's really sticking to policy. Go with policy, President Trump. Stick with policy. You win on policy, on the economy, on the border, on all of that. Speaking of which, there are new polls out. There are new polls. Everybody loves polls, lots of polls. And there are some important numbers. I've got to say this. President Trump's winning in the overall polls by 1 percentage point, which is completely ridiculous, but never mind that. It's what the polls say. And according to the new Fox News poll, choice for president, if you're voting now, 49% for Kamala Harris, 50% for Donald Trump. How is it possible that everything is always a 1-point margin in this country? It's got to be a filthy, corrupt news media and Democrat Party. But I repeat myself, amazing stuff. Now, among independents, if you're an independent voter, President Trump doing better among independent voters. than Kamala Harris. But again, 49 to 50 points overall for the registered voters, not likely voters, but registered. Oh, makes all the difference in the world. This polling is such a bunch of wank. But never mind that. Choice for president now among independents, 43% for Kamala Harris, 51% for President Trump. That's an 8-point spread. President Trump beating Harris among independent voters by 8 percentage points. That's pretty good. Now, if you ask people how President Trump versus Kamala Harris would do on the economy, President Trump with 52% and 46% say Kamala Harris would do better on the economy, based on the fact that 46% of Americans are severely brain damaged, and they're Democrats, and they just say, oh, yeah, the Democrat would do better on the economy. All evidence to the contrary, but never mind that. And then on border security, what do you think? 39% of Democrats say Kamala Harris would do a better job on border security. That means they should have their right to vote taken away, because if you're that stupid, you really shouldn't be allowed to vote. You should have your driver's license taken away, too, because we don't want you on the road barreling around, hurtling around in a big steel object. 39% of Americans, Democrats all, say that Kamala Harris would do a better job on border security. Nothing could be more ridiculous. 58% say Trump would do a better job on border security. So if border security is your issue, then clearly Trump is your man. Now, 39 to 58%, that's a 19-point spread, right? That's nearly 20 points. Got to help the Democrats as you go. So President Trump whooping her on border security, 39% to 58%. Beating her handily on the economy, 46% to 52%. Isn't that amazing? Gosh. How could you think that the Democrats do better on border security? You're an open border, pro-Venezuelan gang person if you give that answer. Amazing. Also, Trump beats her on foreign policy. He's got 52% to her 45%. Trump beats her on the economy. And then a question of crime. Trump beats her by 5 points, 51% to 46%. I guess not everybody in the country has been a victim of crime yet, but the Democrats are working on it. Yes, they are. So President Trump beats her handily on border security, on foreign policy, on immigration, on the economy, and on crime. You'd think that would make it hard for her to win a presidential election, a national election. But when you have a news media as dedicated and corrupt as the news media that we have today is, then that's another thing altogether. There's a crazy story out of Disney, also, the Disney Corporation, and lawyers. This is like the old, what was the Shakespeare line, kill all the lawyers first. The lawyers involved. This one is truly amazing. Wait till you hear this Disney story. But right now, let's go to President Trump, because he was in North Carolina yesterday, big event, and he had a few things to say about a few things. He covered a lot of territory, and as the good people at the Washington Times point out, Trump attempts policy versus personality, struggles to maintain economic focus. This is a traditional presidential campaign. Today, it's all about the economy. You go and you give a speech on the economy, why I'm better on the economy and then tomorrow you have another event down, near the border, and why I'm better on the border, and you focus on that, and you don't give your political enemies in the news media all of the arrows that they need to shoot at you. You limit what you say to what you want to be printed and published, and what sound bites you want to see on the television. But President Trump continues to be undisciplined when it comes to a great many matters like this. Now let's go to President Trump talking about the economy, and this is a perfectly appropriate. It's funny because we were talking about this while watching President Trump yesterday while I was at Newsmax, and this is one of the first things that we said when we started talking about this day one. But here's President Trump on Biden and Kamala and the economy, and Kamala is running around saying, day one, I'm going to make the economy better. President Trump wanted to, kind of check her into the boards on that one, and rightly so.
Kamala has declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority. Just think of it for her, but day one for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Why hasn't she done it?
That's exactly right and glaringly obvious. And if we only had a news media, what they might be able to say about Kamala making ridiculous claims like that. You know, and I don't know, and we're talking about this on the Right Squad on Newsmax last night, too. I don't know if she's aware of this, but she is actually the vice president of the United States now, and the president is in a coma in an iron lung in the basement of the White House, and he's not really the president. So day one is today, and then tomorrow will be day one again. And the day after that, and after I'm elected and inaugurated January 20th of next year, then I'm going to do something to make the economy better. Well, you're actually in a position to do that now. I don't know if you're aware. Somebody show her her business card, because she apparently doesn't know what her job title is. She's the second most powerful person in the world, thanks to the United States of America and the patriarchy, which is not racist like you guys are. You bunch of racists. But day one. Day one was 3.5 years ago, President Trump correctly pointed out. And then day one, while you're vice president, you're already holding an elected office, a very, very powerful elected office, especially while the alleged real president is in a real coma. But never mind that. And President Trump yesterday, this is pretty funny too.
When Kamala lays out her fake economic plan this week, probably will be a copy of my plan, because basically that's what she does. Just remember, she goes to work every morning in the West Wing. Her desk is 10 steps from the Oval Office. She cast the tie-breaking votes that gave us record inflation.
It's true. As vice president, she was brought in a 50-50 Senate to be the tie-breaking vote, the Inflation Reduction Act, which created a unit inside the IRS that targeted people who live on their tips, on tip money. And she came in to be the tie-breaking vote to make sure the IRS had $80 billion more and 80,000 more employees, including, and built into the language of that Inflation Reduction Act bill, was a unit in the Internal Revenue Service that would target people that make their living off of tips. And now, and this was actually a great thing from yesterday, President Trump's backdrop. You know, the Democrats love to go around, they lie about everything. They love to go around and say, President Trump is going to do away with Social Security. There's going to be no Social Security. And he's very clearly stated many times that going to protect Social Security. The Democrats have been hollowing out and bankrupting Social Security for decades now, and they love it. But President Trump had a backdrop yesterday at his event in Asheville, North Carolina. And on the backdrop, they have these things on the blue background. And in giant white letters, no tax on tips, which repeatedly throughout the pattern of the background there. And Kamala Harris stole that because she's stealing everything. Oh, she's for border security. She's for no tax on tips. She's for the whole, I guess, Trump agenda. And also it says no tax on Social Security. No tax on Social Security, which honestly makes perfect sense. Taxing Social Security is the dumbest thing. Honestly, if you're a government employee, why do we even go through the process of withholding money and having you pay taxes when you're being paid by the federal government, who are the people that are taking your taxes out and giving refunds or whatever? I got to tell you, it's the dumbest thing in the world. It's just more bureaucracy for the sake of more bureaucracy. But the big backdrop says no tax on Social Security. So you pay into it all your adult life, and then you collect Social Security and they tax you on it? It's like, well, that's my money that I loaned to you that you didn't invest wisely. And now you're taxing me on my money when it was taken away from me to pay for the Social Security in the first place involuntarily. All power comes from the barrel of a gun, as the Democrats like to say, and the Maoists. Your feet. Your feet. They support you throughout, every day and every night, your summer adventures. You might be tired of shoes that promise comfort but fail to deliver. Introducing G-Defy shoes. G-Defy shoes with VersaShock technology. Unlike ordinary brands of shoes, G-Defy shoes offer superior shock absorption and trampoline-like energy return. Up under your arches, I've got a pair. Wonderful. My best girl has a pair, helping to provide you with relief from foot pain, ankle pain, knee pain, even problems with your back. I love my G-Defy shoes. Whether you're an athlete, a busy parent, just always on the go like most of us, G-Defy shoes offer the comfort and versatility that your feet crave. So say goodbye to discomfort and hello to unparalleled support this summer. Every pair comes with 2 sets of supportive orthotics as well, and they're great. A special lateral stabilizer to help improve your stride, your step, the way you walk or run. And as a listener to this excellent show, you get to enjoy a special summer offer. You visit gdefy.com, and you're going to get $20 off your order of $100 or more with the code CHRIS. That's CHRIS, you know, the traditional way. That's GDEFY, Gdefy, GDEFY.com. Don't forget to use the code CHRIS for $20 American dollars off your order of $100 or more. Experience ultimate comfort this summer with G-Defy shoes. Visit gdefy.com today. Yeah, okay. How about the delegate that was arrested in Ferguson? He was arrested for violently attacking the police. He's supposed to be a delegate at the Democratic Convention next week. And more President Trump from Asheville, North Carolina yesterday. And we remain at 888-630-9625.
No tax on Social Security. We're going to stop it. No tax on Social Security.
Yesterday, I played audio of Kamala Harris lying that President Trump was going to have a nationwide abortion ban. They really love abortion. God, they love abortion. They try to have one a day. It's not as easy as it used to be. And she loves to lie that President Trump's going to cut Social Security and eliminate Social Security and Medicare, too. And Kamala Harris loves to go around saying these things.
When you read it, you will see Donald Trump intends to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Tends to cut, so when you read it, the, Project 2025, which is a Heritage Foundation office that has nothing to do with the Trump campaign. It's all a big lie. But President Trump on that matter yesterday.
Economy. With your vote, I will end this injustice, and I will always protect Social Security and Medicare for our great seniors, just as I did for 4 incredible years. There was never any talk about doing anything.
Now, she comes out and says he's going to cut Social Security and Medicare. Yeah, he's going to cut your taxes on Social Security. So that'll be more money in your pocket, not less money in your pocket. She lies and lies and lies. The Democrats, they love lying. Ah, yes. Monkeypox update. The Democrats love to spread monkeypox. They're good at it. They know how to do these things. Right now, let's go to the telephones. Talk to the nice people. Because there's a lot going on out there. This crazy world of ours. Let's go to Sammy, calling from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Sammy, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Hello, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. Just wanted to say, if you have any listeners that are on the fence, don't know which way they're going to vote, and to voters like Mike the Lib, before you vote for Harris Walls, visit San Francisco, visit Minnesota, and visit Venezuela.
That's good advice. What do you think they'll discover in San Francisco and in Minnesota?
I think they'll see a torn down, third world looking society with drug addicts and feces on every corner and burned down buildings and, just complete anarchy.
Yeah, and that's pretty much what the Democrats are promising for the United States of America. Open borders. Again, the fundamental transformation of America that Barack Obama promised or threatened, depending on your point of view. And you better teach your kids to learn Spanish because the Democrats have a plan for the United States, and the plan is to make the United States unrecognizable as the United States of America. And we're well on our way, aren't we, Sammy?
Yes, we are. We are, Chris, and I'm very concerned about, the election, not just the tampering or possible cheating, but I'm worried. I mean, people better pass their IQ test in November.
And that really is what this is. This is an IQ test. I like to say, Sammy, that every day is an IQ test, and we unfortunately have a great many people that fail on a daily basis the ongoing IQ test. But you're right that Election Day is a major IQ test, and our news media. Again, I'm not, I guess, shocked, but I'm still constantly appalled at how filthy our news media is, how awful and corrupt our news media is, and the big lie that they put out every day, a la Joseph Goebbels, on behalf of the left in the United States of America, and really, they're not Democrats. They're not liberals. They're the left. Liberals don't do these sorts of things. Liberals don't believe these sorts of things. Leftists believe these sorts of things. And as we know, I mean, you said visit Venezuela because, and President Trump made a joke a couple of days ago when he was talking to Elon Musk about how he said, yeah, Elon and I will go to Venezuela and have dinner. Said that he talked about how the crime is lower in Venezuela now than it is in the United States because, of course, Nicolas Maduro, who stole the election a little while ago, a month ago or so, and the news media is completely ignoring that. They've just glossed over that because the socialists, it's the old thing, Sammy, under socialism, they have elections, one man, one vote, one time, right? That's the old kind of joke, but not very funny joke about socialists. They have their fake elections. They rig their fake elections. You have one man, one vote, one time, and then as soon as they win, that's the end of everything because if you even have elections from that point going forward, they're all rigged, they're all crooked because they call themselves socialists, but they're really commies, aren't they?
Yeah, was it Mussolini who said it doesn't matter who wins the election, it matters who's counting the ballots? Yeah,
that's right. It's not the votes that count, it's who counts the votes. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and it's the totalitarians are here in the United States as never before, and we're treating it very casually as a civilization, as a culture, because of the filthy, corrupt news media that should be hysterical about what we're seeing, but instead, they're just jumping in the hot tub of lube with the Democrat Party and writhing around like the rented things that they are. Amazing stuff. Sammy, good advice. Visit San Francisco. Visit Minneapolis. Look, that used to be the land of Mary Tyler Moore throwing her beret in the air. And now if she did throw her beret in the air, she'd be kicked to the ground and her beret would be stolen before it hit the ground because the Democrats are making everything better. Honestly, work-free drug zones and amazing stuff. So visit San Francisco, visit Minneapolis, visit Venezuela. Because they are turning us into a third world country. Everywhere you look, I live in Washington, D.C., which 2 years in a row now has been voted the least livable city in the United States of America by this one survey that does that sort of thing. And, the crime, the carjacking, the police have been pushed back. And because the Democrats are pro-crime, they like more murder, more carjackings, more crime because, they're the left. Sammy, thanks for the call, buddy.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And Sammy's in D.C. too. He's in D.C. He knows what's going on. Now, I got this great article today. The Fox News people. The headline in quotation marks: "Corruptly influencing the courts." End quote. Since we were just talking about Venezuela, it got me going on this. Climate justice group that trains federal judges under scrutiny. What? What's this? American Energy Institute CEO says Climate Judiciary Project's training program, a radical left-wing extremist group called Climate Judiciary Project, they're grooming, not just for child sexual purposes, they're grooming lawyers and low-level judges to be radical environmentalists, and then the Democrats promote them, and Chuck Schumer approves them, not with 60 votes because they corrupt everything they touch. They're the left. They're not liberals. The Climate Judiciary Project's training program is like interfering with the referees before the match, says the CEO of the American Energy Institute. Now, a new report by an American energy advocacy group is sounding the alarm on a legal training program that it says is corruptly influencing the courts and destroying the rule of law to promote climate cult alarmism. You know, we haven't had an environmentalist self-immolate at the Supreme Court in 2 years now. I don't know. Hey, environmentalists, don't you care anymore? What's the matter with you people? Shouldn't you be self-immolating all over the place? It was hot a couple of weeks ago. You should be, it should be like Jonestown out here every day. You guys should be lining up for Kool-Aid. The new report by the American Energy Institute, AEI, the American Energy Institute, alleges that the Environmental Law Institute's Climate Judiciary Project, naturally it's the CJP, is falsely portraying itself as a neutral entity teaching judges about questionable climate science. The report also alleges that the Climate Judiciary Project is a partner to more than 24 public plaintiffs suing energy providers to hold them liable for damages resulting from climate change effects. I think the great ball of fire in the sky has something to do with this. To date, the Climate Judiciary Project trained more than 2,000 state and federal judges, the report says. And Jason Isaac, CEO of the American Energy Institute, says that the training program is really like interfering with the referees before the match and before the game. Remarkable stuff. You're getting access to them and sharing your opinions and steering them down a certain path, Isaac said in an interview with Fox News Digital. Nick Collins, a spokesperson for the Environmental Law Institute, said the report is full of misinformation. And, now they want to ban it and prevent it from being distributed because they're communists. They're basically communists. They're trampling free speech. They want to trample the free speech of Elon Musk and of Donald Trump. They're anti-free speech people, anti-First Amendment, anti-Bill of Rights people. So they lie, these radicals at the Climate Judiciary Project, that they're nonpartisan. They're not nonpartisan. Don't be ridiculous. They're partisan. That's the thing about them. So they're trying to corrupt by getting in early with the judges. And then, the Democrats, Biden and Kamala, will nominate these radicals to federal judicial posts. And Chuck Schumer will rubber stamp it, the Lizard King, with his tongue sticking out of the corner of his mouth. And they will rubber stamp without having to get 60 votes, as you had to do until Obama corrupted and Harry the Body Reid, corrupted the Senate, because that's what they do. Now, they want to pack the Senate, the Democrats do, too, with 2 senators from Puerto Rico, not a state, 2 senators from Washington, D.C., not a state, because they know they can get radical left-wing extremists and tip the balance of the Senate and then steal everything, because that's what commies do. So that's an interesting story, corruptly influencing the courts. And that reminded me of what my great friend Mark Paoletta wrote recently, a great legal scholar and author and filmmaker, and a friend of mine, Mark Paoletta. And he wrote, Kamala Harris and the Democrats want to destroy an independent Supreme Court by packing it with more justices, just like they want to pack the Senate with 2 senators from D.C., not a state, 2 senators from Puerto Rico, not a state, because they are that third world. They are that criminal. And they're that criminal out in the light of day now, too. So Mark Paoletta writes, they want to destroy an independent Supreme Court because they love to put everything through the courts rather than through Congress. And they corrupt the courts, they corrupt the Congress, corrupt the Senate. You don't need the filibuster and 60 votes and all of that good stuff. But never mind that, because Democrats. Now, Mark Paoletta writes, this is an important detail to know. And I was triggered because our last brilliant caller, Sammy, was talking about visiting Venezuela. And so I was reminded what Mark Paoletta wrote recently. Said the communists call themselves socialists in Venezuela. Hugo Chavez packed Venezuela's high court, the Supreme Court equivalent in Venezuela. After Hugo Chavez packed Venezuela's high court, it never ruled against the government again in 45,474 cases. So the commies pack the court with their allies who are radicals, who are extremists, right? And as Mark Paoletta points out, the commie Hugo Chavez, who stole everything and threw his political enemies in prison, like the Democrats are doing here, after Hugo Chavez packed Venezuela's high court, it never ruled against the government again in more than 45,000 cases before the court. And you may remember Chuck Schumer going to the Supreme Court and yelling and threatening Brett Kavanaugh and who was it? Was it Kavanaugh and Gorsuch? And Gorsuch, right, and Gorsuch, that you will reap the whirlwind. The Democrats are a threat to our democracy, and just amazing stuff. I got to tell you, and when Senator Chuck Schumer, the Democrat leader in the Senate, went over to the Supreme Court to threaten members of the Supreme Court.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
A short time later, an armed would-be assassin showed up at the home of Brett Kavanaugh with a pistol and multiple magazines, burglary tools, kidnapping tools, and was planning on murdering 3 conservative nominees to the Supreme Court. And that was a kind of a non-news story, wasn't it? That was another one of those one-day news stories. Aren't they amazing?
You won't know what hit you if you go forward with these awful decisions.
Yeah, right. And Roe versus Wade was overturned, and last year we had a 12-year high in abortions in the United States, more than 1 million abortions. Not enough for the Democrats because, if they were baby harp seals, they'd be very upset. But when they're just people, largely black people, it's okay with the party of the KKK. Not a problem for them. Isn't that amazing? All right, President Trump. I didn't wrap up with President Trump yesterday in North Carolina, who was talking about the economy, economic matters, and important issues facing the nation.
You're paying the price for Kamala's liberal extremism at the gas pump, at the grocery counter, and on your mortgage bill and on everything else. We're not going to let this incompetent socialist lunatic keep breaking our economy for 4 more years. It'll destroy our country. On Election Day, we're going to tell her that we've had enough, that we can't take it anymore. Kamala, you're fired.
You're fired. Good idea. And it's true. He mentioned mortgages, and I got to tell you, mortgages are, under President Trump, we had gasoline at $2.39. It was actually at $2.11 for a period of time. And he drove it up to over $5, drove inflation up to 9.1%. Now, gas prices today are average $3.44, but really it's higher than that where I am, certainly. And mortgage rates are near 7%, which changes everything for everyone. But we have a news media that just ignores it, and they go back to their $1 million houses in the back of their Lincoln town cars being driven by immigrants with open borders, You know that the best-selling Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier uses Oxy technology that helps to quickly destroy a whole lot of viruses and mold and odors and a whole lot more in the air in your home and your office. Thousands of 5-star reviews online. It works like a champ. We've got 2 of them in our home. Any smell will vanish in just a few seconds with the thunderstorm being on. Odors from litter boxes, cigarette smoke, diapers, left-wing protesters are no match for the Eden Pure Thunderstorm. The powerful thunderstorm sends out these O3 molecules that go underneath and behind furniture and destroys odors. It's amazing. Nothing can hide from the thunderstorm. And best of all, No filters to buy and replace over and over again like so many air filters, saving you money and hassle. Don't have to put it on your calendar, you know. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for a whole home protection because you hang out with me. You get 3 units for under $200. You can hold one in your hand. They're only this big. They're like this. You can put one in your basement, your bedroom, your teenager's room, you know, the college dorm, any place you like to have clean, fresh air. All you have to do is go to EdenPureDeals.com. EdenPureDeals.com. Use the discount code CHRIS3, CHRIS, and the number 3 to save $200. That's EdenPureDeals.com. The discount code is CHRIS3. Ah, yes. You're Democrats. Wonder what a legitimate media would do if we had one. Thank God for talk radio. Bum-ba-dum-ba-dum-ba-dum-bum-bum. I don't know what happened to the person that wanted to talk about the bright side of communism. What happened to that? Let's go to Paul calling from Woodbridge, Virginia. Paulo, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, love your show, babe. Thanks for everything you do.
You bet.
Just real quick, couple things. Couple comments on Afghanistan and the Michael Brown thing. I'm actually driving down 64 East right now. After listening to the story about the celebration of the Taliban, it's all I can do to not throw up all over the dash of my car. What we did in Afghanistan is just unforgivable. The leadership of this country, Obama, Biden, Harris. I just finished Jim Kennedy's book, and he talks about getting a call from an interpreter that was left over there, basically saying, Jim, you and your buddies got to get my family out. I'm running out of places to hide. They've told me they're going to kill and rape my 2 daughters and my wife in front of me slowly, and then they're going to kill me. You got to get my family out. And he did. I don't even know the story or not, but he got roughly 10% of all the people that were left behind out with funding that he put together with his Tier 1 operators, and they went in and got so many of the people, about 10% of all of them were left over there out of Afghanistan after Harris and Obama and Biden left them all behind. I don't remember their stories, but they were talking about, a few hundred people left behind. There were thousands, if not tens of thousands of people left behind.
Yeah, and Joe Biden is a hero for doing that, and I'm sorry I ran out the clock on you on Michael Brown.